Hey guys, it's Lauren. Welcome back to That Stage where we talk all about food photography so you can build the creative career you want. Now in food photography, those really cool frozen in time splash shots can add a lot of energy and interest to your food photos, but there is a really specific technique that you can use to make capturing these shots easier. So today I'm in the studio and I'm going to be walking you through exactly how I take those splash shots. Now, as with any kind of fast motion, the key is working with a really short exposure time. And today I'm going to be showing you how you can do that with flash so you're not relying on a super fast shutter speed. To capture that really frozen liquid flying through the air action, you need to be using an exposure somewhere in the range of around 1/8000th of a second. And even though your camera may go up to 1/8000th of a second in terms of shutter speed, it's unlikely that you're working with enough light that using that shutter speed is actually realistic for getting a well-exposed photo. But thankfully there is a much easier way to still be able to get this effect when you're working with strobes. Strobes or speed lights or whatever kind of studio equipment you're using allow us to get a really short, really fast burst of light that allows us to replicate the effect of a really fast shutter speed. So let's dive in and have a look around the setup so you know how you can replicate this at home. So today I'm going to be filming through 2 layers of diffusion. So I've got my speed light set up in my 120cm octagonal softbox, and then right in front of that I've got my really big 5 by 7 scrim, which is also going to act as my backdrop. By having the light source coming through the backdrop, it's also going to allow the light to pass through the water, capturing all that really nice detail. I've got my camera set up on my tripod with my 90mm macro lens, and the settings that I'm going to be shooting with are a shutter speed of 1/250th of a second and an aperture of f13. Now, when you're shooting with strobes, it's important to note that your shutter speed doesn't actually affect your exposure. And this is part of the learning curve that comes when you start using flash. So instead, the flash power itself is going to be defining how fast our equivalent shutter speed would be. By setting my camera at a shutter speed of 1/250th of a second, I'm able to cut out all of the ambient light in the room. So the only light that's going to be adding to the exposure of my image is the light coming from the strobe. So the flash duration is defined by the flash power that you're using, and more specifically by the T.1 rating. Now every flash model has different T.1 ratings at different flash powers. So you'll need to head into the manual for your flash or give it a quick Google to find out which flash power is going to give you a T.1 rating of a shutter speed of somewhere around 1/8000th of a second. So on my flash, which is the Pica 200 TTL, I need to use a flash power of 132-3 in order to get a shutter speed greater than 1/8000th of a second. So now we've gone through the lighting setup, let's dive into the shoot. So I'm tethering my camera to my laptop to make sure that I get a really nice, crisp, clean shot and nothing is going to move. So I've got my settings at 1/250th of a second, f13 to make sure that everything is going to be really nicely within the depth of field, and I've got my ISO at 800 because I'm using a fairly low flash power. So something that I'll always do is make sure that I take one photo of the completely empty glass, because once we start doing some splashes, we're going to end up with a lot of water down here, and afterwards when we edit, we want to be able to composite in a really nice clean base. Okay, so another thing that I'm going to do is put my camera into continuous burst mode. This is another advantage of shooting with a slightly lower flash power, is that your flash will have a slightly quicker recycle time. So you're able to take a continuous burst of images without taking a break, which is really useful when you're trying to capture a splash that it's unlikely you're going to push your shutter and drop the thing and get it at exactly the right moment. So being able to shoot continuously gives you a bit more leeway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be releasing my camera shutter from the laptop, dropping the ice cube with my left hand and holding it down to take a continuous set of images. So I can see on the screen that I don't want my hand in the shot, so I know that I need to be about here, and then I can just hold down my shutter and go. So what you're left with once you've done a few burst shots is a series of images of various different splashes. And what I do most of the time is I'll pick maybe one or two and composite them together to make the final image. So there you have it guys, a really simple way that you can take these kind of epic splash shots at home with any speedlight or strobe. Let me know in the comments if you're going to give this a go at home, and here is the final composited image.